Hey everybody. So today we're going to talk about unions and employment and employees and employers and the relationships and how it's supposed to function in a mutually symbiotic, minimal conflict environment, the way it's designed. So, in all contracts that include unions, you have the employer, the employee sitting on both sides, right? Opposite tables. And then you have the union. The union sits in the middle, slightly shifted towards the employee. So the employer's job is to enforce their contract, right? Enforce their rules, enforce their stuff, follow all the rules. The employee's side is to do their job and enforce their contract when needed. The union's job is to collectively bargain. It is to facilitate communications and conflict. It is to bring for grievances forward. That's their job. The problem is we've been told that the union is supposed to represent us. No, that's not the way it works. Nope, not at all. You've been lied to. That's a lie. It's false. So, let's figure out why. An employer, their job, they're basically doing their job. Why? Because they're kicking the crap out of employees and unions all over the place because we don't understand why. So an employer, they're sticking to the contract, they're making the rules, right? An employee is doing the job and they've been told that they're subservient to the employer. But that's not true. That's actually a lie. It's false. It's a scam. It's enslavement. It's oppression. It's misdirection. It's an illusion. And then it pisses the employee off and they don't understand why they're pissed. So we'll start with the union, though, because we're gonna narrow them down a little quicker. The union, their job, as I said before, is to collectively bargain contracts, right? Then they get ratified, then you vote on them, and then once they're ratified, it's your contract. You own it. It's yours. Thanks. Mine. They're supposed to facilitate communications when there's conflict between two employees. They're really supposed to act like a mediator to kind of resolve the conflict. Okay? And they're supposed to bring grievances forward. So grievances are interesting. After doing some research and after learning about grievances, here's what I actually learned. Grievances are not brought against an employee that does something to another employee. Second, grievances are not you. Grievances may be in your name as the employee, but in reality, grievances are against the organization, and the union is moving those grievances forward. And technically, they're not even really in your name. I mean, the IAFF right now is moving a grievance forward in my name. They're going to arbitration. I don't even work there anymore. And I never signed it. I never even asked them to do anything. Because they're not supposed to, when they find a fault in the contract, they're actually supposed to do the grievance anyways. They don't need your signature. That's actually their job. That's what you're paying them for. So, that's what unions are supposed to do. Collectively bargain, facilitate communications, and bring grievances forward. Now, grievances only fall under time, money, status, or rank. Which means if your issue does not include time, money, status, or rank, in other words, a supervisor is harassing you or administrators are being inappropriate, if it doesn't cost you time, money, status, or rank, it's not a union issue. There's nothing they can do. See, that's where it gets fascinating. So while employers use the policy of progressive discipline, because that's what they call it. They call it progressive discipline, right? You're supposed to get notified, a verbal warning, but it's actually a write-up. and then you're supposed to get another one, but they're all supposed to be investigated because that's the law, right? You have to investigate something before you can actually give a write-up, because that's how it works. They use discipline process. The employee's process of taking a tangible possession of their contract is called the complaint process. Yes, the complaint process. In the Constitution, they call it petition. Complaint. Yes. But what's happened is somehow employees, especially government and union employees, have been told, don't complain. But it's your right to complain. In fact, the Constitution of the United States says you have the right to petition your government for all grievances. Well, petition specifically is a complaint. If you look on lawsuits where it says petition, it actually says complaint. Yes. So, you have the right to complain. And if you're a government employee, you have a tangible right to your job, which means that if you are harassed, if you are punished unjustly, if you are discriminated against, if your rules are different because someone doesn't like you, or if, like me, they don't like the way I think and they don't like the things I said, so they basically stole my job from me, right? They stole it because I haven't had a predetermination hearing yet. And they just took it away and came up with some story, right? But you have to go through due process. That's the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, right? Life, liberty, and property. Well, the job was my property. They took it away, right? So, but the problem is these government organizations are out of control because the employees don't know how to assert their rights. They don't know how to stand up for themselves. So they're being punished, and they don't even know that they can fix it. And they're the only one that can fix it. And they have to fix it, because if they don't fix it, it's going to continue. So I want to tie this into corruption a little bit in the government. This is the fascinating part. We know that these people are lying to us, right? I mean, listen, I ask these 3 questions all the time to people. Do you believe that politicians tell the truth? I'm going to go with no. Do you believe that politicians are the best and brightest of our communities? No. Do you believe that politicians are acting in the best interest of their constituents and the people that elected them? Nope. I get everybody with this. I love it. It's one of my favorites. So, let me get this right. They are liars. They are stupid. And they're self-centered. And this is who we're listening to? But let's be honest. Do you really think that the politicians are the ones that are actually doing the work? They ain't doing any work. They're trying to get elected again. So who's doing it? And why are they doing it? It's the people that they have their thumb on that is doing the work, that are doing the work. I'm sorry, I apologize. So they have oppressed these people and enslaved them in their minds that they don't have a choice. Do your job. Shut your mouth. Don't talk. When it's the employees' government and it's the employee's duty, because they're a citizen, to actually defend the nation, to actually stand up and say no. But because the employee has never been empowered with understanding the complaint process and understanding that they can fix them and they can take them down, it just goes and it goes and it goes, and everyone turns a blind eye, going, I don't want to get in trouble. Like, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to write a statement for you because I don't want to get in trouble. And everybody thinks everything's fine until you piss off the wrong person. And then when you piss off the wrong person, oh, they come hell-bent for an election. And if you don't prepare for the day that your day comes, because listen, I was the golden boy at where I worked. I was the golden boy. I taught all the classes. I was editor of all the EMS protocols. I mean, paramedic instructor for years, fire instructor, everything, right? Until one day, I pissed off a deputy chief's girlfriend, and all hell broke loose. So I went from golden boy. I actually had somebody say to me, dude, man, talk about a fall from grace. You went from the golden boy of the whole department to fired or medically separated. That's what they came up with, because they couldn't get me because I knew all the rules. I memorized them. So as an employee, you have to learn the complaint process. You have to learn it's a process. And I keep saying complaint process. It's a method. It's an algorithm. Okay? And it starts, and once it starts, you go through and you work your way through it. And what's supposed to happen is when you actually have something that's aligned with the union, that's time, money, status, or rank, and you have the person who transgressed you, I'd like to call him a colorful metaphor, but I'm not gonna. Then the complaint process and the grievances get married to each other, and they walk together. And as the grievance is moving forward, the complaints are facilitating the strength and improving the ability to win of the grievances. One last thing we're going to talk about is right to work. So I believe in right to work, and I'm going to tell you why. Number one, I don't believe anybody should have too much power. And I believe that in states where there is no right to work, the unions are out of control and they are corrupt bureaucratic entities. And they're missing the boat because they could be way more powerful if they actually got right to work, or if they actually started to function in this capacity. But the needs of the few are outweighing the needs of the many. So, right to work works like this. Once you have right to work, it means that every employee in that organization actually is entitled to the contract because it's been ratified. There is no separation of employees. There is no like, oh, well, you're not a union employee, so you get these rules, and you are a union employee, so you get those rules. That's what Charlotte County government's doing right now, by the way. They're actually making separate rules for employees versus rules for our employees that aren't union, and calling them right to work, or right to work employees, and it's a right to work state, basically lying to them, taking their rights away. And then they have rules for union employees, which is completely illegal and complete fraud. It's actually pure fraud. That's all it is. So, which I think is egregious. So, right to work changes the rules. It actually tells the union, you have a customer now. It's customer based. In other words, you're being paid for a service, and you have to cater to the person who's actually paying you. Well, the unions are trying to get right to work flipped, which I totally disagree with. They're lobbying to try and have these laws reversed. No, the laws are fine. There's nothing wrong with them. It actually puts the customer in charge. It actually puts the people that you're supposed to serve in charge of you. Yes, that's the way it's supposed to be. I'm paying, you serve me. I'm paying for a product. I want service. Okay? So you got to offer something. You got to make it worth it. That's what right to work does. And I agree with that. And it puts the employee back in charge. So, but that's a problem because they don't want to see it that way. And the employees, well, we've just never been told. I had to go through 3.5 years of hell to even get an answer as to what's really going on. And these were the answers I found. So now what am I doing? I'm sharing them with you. Take them. Use them. Have fun with them. Unions are important. Union contracts are important in basically all employment because it empowers you into contract, which then gives you a tangible right to your job. And right to work has nothing to do with whether you can have a union or not. God bless you guys. And if you don't start taking your rights, well, then you're just giving them away.